In 1994, I hopped on a plane without a plan to cover the first RS elections. And at that point, hopefully the swearing in of Nelson Mandela. And my third day there, a bomb went off and I ran. I ran towards it.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it proud, turn it proud. You locked in, thinking out loud. Yeah, mic check, new thought on deck. Big brain talk, cut through the noise, no stress. From the couch to the car to the crowd, we flip one small spark to a whole new sound. Got questions, we press them, address them. Laugh, learn, level up, that's the blessing. Every topic on the table right now, welcome to the wave. Thinking out loud. Let's go. Thinking out loud, say it, don't hide it. If it's on your mind, we gon' talk about it. From the first idea to the last rundown, you tune to the show, thinking out loud. Thinking out loud, ride that vibe. If it's on your heart, we gon' let that fly. Turn the volume up, shake the whole town. You rockin' with the show, thinking out loud. Hey!
All right, guys, we are back on a very special edition. Every edition of our podcast is special, but today is really special because I have a very special friend of mine on the show with us, and I can't wait to jump into this interview. Of course, I'm Michael Nimmons, podcast host of the Thinking Out Loud radio show, and I'm excited about this guest that we have coming up. But before we jump into our interview, I want to give her a proper introduction. Known for her distinct style of world-class images of celebrities, heads of state, pop icons, historic events, and the unsung heroes of everyday life, she's more than a photographer. She is a photojournalist that captures what others cannot. Now she is sharing her vast knowledge on images of photography, her tips, techniques, and more. And in front of the camera as a public speaker. This is her second time on the Thinking Out Loud radio show podcast. I want you to give a warm Thinking Out Loud radio show welcome to my good friend, the iconic and legendary photojournalist to the stars, speaker and influencer, Monica Morgan. Welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here.
We're so very happy that you are back, and I really appreciate it, guys. She's done so many great things, and of course, very busy schedule. She mentioned off air that this is her ballroom night that she is dedicated to us, and we truly appreciate it. Carving out time to share a few minutes with us on the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
It's great to be here, Michael, and I don't mind giving up my ballroom dance classes for you.
Thank you so much. And so, Monica, as I was saying off air, it has been a few years since you've been on the podcast. In fact, the first time you were on, we were just doing phone interviews. Now we've added a video component to it, which I think is a great compliment to the podcast, because now our audience gets a chance to see who I'm talking to. And right out the gate, though, I want to know, like I said, it's been a few years since we've talked, but what have you been up to since you've been on the show the last time?
Michael, I've just been taking photographs, speaking, teaching, mentoring, and being a mommy to magic. My Bashan Poo, who'll be 6 years old this year.
Wow.
He's supposed to share the camera with me, so I have to have him in my lap when I'm on Zoom. But I've just been building my portfolio, if you will, or archive. I'll say archive of images of well-known people who've made a difference in this world, people who make a difference in this world as well. And just trying to have a little fun here and there.
I know you're being very short for a reason, because that question, of course, covers a lot of ground, but we know you have done quite a bit in the last few years that we've talked to you. But what are some of your proudest moments as a photojournalist? And I like the fact that you call yourself a photojournalist and not just a photographer. Well, let's start there first. Why photojournalist and not photographer?
Well, a long time ago, Someone told me, Joseph Rochester said to me, Monica, you have to separate and differentiate yourself from other photographers. So I thought about it. And I enjoy telling stories. I enjoy capturing history. So Photojournalist came to mind. And then another friend, Jacob Keeley, he said to me, you need to be international. You need to go somewhere and do something so you're no longer the girl next door. So I went to South Africa and documented the first RA selections and Nelson Mandela's inauguration. So the combination of international and photojournalist was what I branded myself as. And that was before branding was even a thing.
Wow.
But there would be times when I would go out to get a position doing something and people would say, we don't pay photographers that. And I would say, I understand, but I'm an international photojournalist. So it was a different conversation as a result of that.
Yes, that's understandably. You definitely separated yourself. If any of you who are watching or even listening know this legendary photojournalist, international photojournalist, Monica Morgan, and seeing any of her photos, you understand why she is so sought after as someone to get pictures for any major events that have happened, not just in this country, but even around the world. So share with us, what are some of your proudest moments as an international photojournalist?
In 1994, I hopped on a plane without a plan to cover the first RA selections. And at that point, hopefully the swearing in of Nelson Mandela. And my third day there, a bomb went off and I ran. I ran towards it, and my images ran all over the world on the front pages of newspapers. I was told I should get a Pulitzer for it by a major daily newspaper, but yet I didn't know you had to apply for a Pulitzer. I just thought they sought you out and said, here you go. So I missed that opportunity. But that was one of the moments that has always stood out, being in front of Nelson Mandela as he danced to becoming the president-elect, and then being there when he raised his hand, becoming president of South Africa, was just a moment that I will never, ever forget. I was in Tripoli, Libya for Muammar Gaddafi's revolution celebration. I had gone there with 7 Muslim men, high-ranking officials and family members of Minister Louis Farrakhan. I was the only non-Muslim, the only woman. And that was a time that I'll say was one of my proud moments because it was different. Being a Christian, going to a Muslim country, going to a country where the leader was not liked, considered a terrorist. I just did a job of documenting what I saw. So I don't support terrorism. If the Pope calls me, I'm going to photograph what the Pope needs. But at that point, I was able to document Libya and Muammar Gaddafi. I also had opportunities to meet world leaders while I was there. At one point, 40 African leaders and heads of state, including Yasser Arafat. So I would be in rooms, very private rooms, and they would say, Monica, some of them couldn't speak English, but they knew me as a photographer. So that was a moment that I can't say how proud I was, because I had come a long way from a self-taught photographer. I had an opportunity to photograph Prince Charles, who is now King Charles, at Nelson Mandela's funeral, as I again hopped on a plane without a plan, ran into Jesse Jackson and was asked that I want to roll with him. And I rolled with him, didn't have a plan. The plan became an amazing opportunity of going into Nelson Mandela's home where he passed on, of riding on a private plane to the funeral services, being the only woman, the only African-American woman, and I think the only American woman in the room with a camera, photographing people who recognized me, like the president of Tanzania, President Kikwete, Idris Elba, who we go way back. And just people like Oprah was there, Gail was there, Forrest Whitaker was there, Richard Abramson, who owns Virgin Airlines, was there. It was just an amazing time. I could go on and on about proud moments because I didn't have this plan to be a photojournalist, to be someone who documents history. I fell into it. I love it. I believe it is my purpose. I believe God has a plan for me with it. So I'm always going to be humble about it because it has nothing to do with me. It's where God takes me. It's what God does, because oftentimes I am amazed at things where I've been told no, that have become outstanding opportunities.
Right. That's how you know those are God moments, because he opens doors that would otherwise be closed if it was someone else. And certainly I'm just at awe just listening to you chronicle some of your amazing experiences. In addition to you being a photojournalist, you're a great storyteller. I enjoy listening to you talk about the experiences that you've had. And I think that's another reason why I wanted you on the program, because not just because of the pictures that you've taken, but the stories behind them, because I think those are just as fascinating as the pictures that you've taken.
I get that a lot. People always want to know the story behind the photo. And it's really funny because oftentimes those stories are just out of this world, if you will. I will tell you, I was flown to Israel to document Winnie Mandela. I got a call. Hey, Monica, can you come to Israel today? I'm like, no, I can't come today, but I can come tomorrow. And that was Prince Asiob in Israel of the African Hebrew Israelites. So I got to Israel, was introduced to Winnie Mandela, and she said, I like your earrings. And I said, thank you. Because she was very formidable. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's Winnie Mandela. I'm going to be her photographer. And she said, as she got closer to me, I like your earrings. And I paused and I'm thinking, what earrings do I have on? Because I don't even think about it. So I said, and then I said, okay, they were some $10 earrings from a boutique. I was like, glad she likes these and not some of my expensive ones. So I said, before I could say anything else, she walked closer, put her hand out and said, I like your earrings. Give them to me. Wow. And so I had to give them to her. I gave them to her. And I looked at her like, okay, we're going to do this today. I'm going to honor you. But we're not doing any more of these earrings because I love my earrings. We got along during our visit. I went to Leah Rabin's funeral with her. We went into the Jordan River together. We went to the Dead Sea. We floated. They have hotels where the water is infused with the Dead Sea. And it's amazing because even if you can't swim, it's going to cause you to float. It is such the feeling is such that I can't even describe to you. So those were moments that I was with Winnie Mandela. We went to the Mount of Beatitudes. We went everywhere. We went throughout Israel. We went to the Wailing Wall. And she became like just a friend. And so I didn't even think about that. It emerged and happened. And I was just thankful to God for that opportunity.
Wow. That's awesome. I know you guys are enjoying my interview with this iconic and legendary international photojournalist, my good friend, Monica Morgan. She is back with us on this week's edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And Monica, I looked at your website and you have a long list of celebrities who you have photographed. The list is long and I'm sure it's still growing even as we speak. But are there individuals that you have on your list that you haven't photoed yet? There a bucket list of celebrities or individuals that you haven't photographed yet?
So I like to photograph people who I don't know, I've admired or thought about or read about. And one of the people that I like her story or the fact that she's a champion, and that's Clarissa Shields. I would love to photograph her. Now, I photographed Muhammad Ali. I even went to his home and took photos, and he performed magic for me. But I've not photographed Clarissa Shields. I photographed a powerful woman champion. I would love that. So hopefully that opportunity will present itself. I have always wanted to photograph Priscilla Presley.
Really?
And I had an opportunity to in December, but I had a standing yearly photo shoot. And so I couldn't cancel that photo shoot. So I didn't meet Priscilla Presley, but I would love to photograph her. People who are different, iconic people, well-known people who made a difference. Let me think about who else. Okay, The Devil Wears Prada. I'd love to photograph Meryl Streep and people like that. Julia Roberts. Yes. And then people who are just historical. I haven't photographed. Let me think. just people who are making a difference. And even local people would be fine too. I don't just look at the national and the international people. I like photographing people who are just interesting and touch our lives in various ways.
And that is a great answer to that question, because again, I know you have photographed so many people that the list of those you haven't photographed is probably very short. But
when I think back to some of the people that I've photographed, I do amaze myself with it, because they are people that I grew up admiring and to have met them, to have photographed them. It was just like a little kid in a candy store. Wow. I photographed Cab Calloway, Dizzy Gillespie, Lena Horne, Coretta Scott King, just to mention a few. And again, it's all because of God. It's not because of me. And so those moments to have photographed and met those people and had conversations with them. And I'm an introvert, so talking to them is difficult. Or I like to speak through my camera. That's the best way for me with the one-on-one conversation. Now, I can speak to a crowded room, but one-on-one, sometimes I get real nervous.
I can't tell.
I have magic in my lap. He's giving me courage.
I know you guys are enjoying my interview with this iconic and legendary photojournalist, Monica Morgan. She is our guest on this week's edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Guys, we're getting ready to take our first break, but when we come back, we're jumping right back into my interview with this lovely international photojournalist, and we're going to segue into her as a speaker when we come back from commercial. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.